Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Something Like Therapy, the podcast where I'm hoping that you leave feeling a little bit better than how it was when you first came. So today we have a great episode. Just like I tell you every week, we come back with episodes that we hope encourage and inspire and uplift one another. And that's what we're all about. Today in the studio, I got a couple of gentlemen here that I respect, that I admire, and we're going to talk about dads with daughters because we know it's a big thing. It's a big deal, especially in this era that we live in. We know there's an absentee of fathers as a whole, but it's also one thing when you see men step up and help parent daughters. So we want to get right into it. Go ahead with the small introduction. We got right here, Mr. Rube. If you could just I call you Rube, you let them know it's up to you, and then let me know how many daughters you have, and then if you don't mind, like the ages.
I actually have two daughters.
Okay.
The oldest one is now 19.
Yeah.
The youngest is 14.
14.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on this side, we got Mr. Zane. What's going on, bro?
What's going on? I'm Zane. And I have one daughter. She's a little over 1.5.
Okay. All right. And then I got, you all know I have my baby girl. It's if you all keep up with the podcast, then you know we have a football team. Got a ton of kids, and we had the boys. We already had a group, 5 or 6, and somehow we wanted more kiddos, and then God gave us a set of twins. One of them being our girl, so we have our first girl. So, and it's definitely something. So, kind of want to talk about before you all became fathers, like before you found out you were going to be a father. Did you ever think about one day I might be a dad? And did you think about what type of dad you will be?
I definitely thought about it here and there. Thought about being a dad. Not early on. Obviously, when I wasn't married, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking nothing about no kids.
Yeah.
But after I got married, it started to become an idea, and then later on, it was like, we're gonna have some kids.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was, I'm like, I never be like my daddy. I'm gonna be the fun dad. And it's coming to life. It really is crazy. Yeah. One thing that I did think about, I did not want to be that dumb dad. I didn't want to be that dad. I didn't want to be that daddy in the movies that's, stepping in paint cans and falling off ladders and stuff like that. I ain't there yet. I almost failed.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't think about it at first, but now that I'm in, it's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rube?
Well, before I had kids, I didn't actually want kids.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't want kids because I didn't want to be a dad like my dad was.
Yeah,
Me and my dad didn't have the best relationship, so I wanted to break the cycle, and I didn't want to have kids. When I actually found out I was having a kid, I actually cried because I was like, I'm going to be just like my dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she was born. She actually saved my life because before I had kids, I was out in the streets doing all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, things that you couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. Now you forget what I do.
Yeah, I know. So that's why I'm going to
looking at you, you cleaned up well.
But, I got my life together because I'm like, I have to be there for my kids. I moved from the city, found us a place to stay out in the county, which was a little better back then.
Yeah.
At the time, she was with her mom for about 6 months, and She wanted me to pay child support, which was no thing because I was giving them money every week or whatever. But the amount that she wanted was like,
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can do this by myself, and that was that, and that's it.
You brought up an interesting point, and I actually had it here, and both of you all kind of touched on it. Did you have a blueprint in front of you. Now, I did hear you both kind of talk about, you said, I didn't really want to be like my dad, same thing. So did you have any type of blueprint in front of you on how to do this thing?
Well, a blueprint for me was my aunt's husband, which is my uncle. Who's like a blood uncle, but he's not. He's married into the family.
Okay.
So when we were coming up as kids, everybody was like, he's the mean uncle. He's the mean uncle. But I loved him because he was different from my dad, and I got where he was coming from. Where my dad, I didn't get anything about him. My dad was in the Marine Corps, so he was kind of brainwashed or something. I don't know what was wrong with him. But my uncle, to this day, I tell people, what I do, I look at my uncle and say, what would he do?
Okay.
And I tell people every day, they talk, I wish that was my dad.
Yeah.
Where his kids don't understand him, but I'm like, man, you lucky. I wish that was my dad.
Yeah.
And me and him have a relationship like a father and son, but he's my uncle, and he's actually married into the family. My aunt passed away, but he's still part of the family.
Yeah.
So that was my blueprint, him.
Okay. Now, did he have any daughters?
He actually has 4 daughters.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I can't even imagine. What about you, Zay?
No, I didn't have a blueprint at all. I won't even lie. I want to say I had some decent examples of a father when I was away from my family. Unfortunately, my family, I didn't have the best examples. I didn't have the best examples of husbands. I think all my uncles are maybe one is still married.
Okay.
All the other ones are divorced. But I didn't have a blueprint. Honestly, the only thing that I thought about was I don't want to be like my daddy. That's it. That's all I was thinking about. Obviously, until she was born, that's when my whole life changed. But initially, my main goal was not to be like my father. That was it. No blueprint, no clear cut, instructions, no clear cut directions. None of that. It was based off of being different from my pops.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it for me for a minute.
But now in your life, do you feel like you have people that...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So my pastor, you
I pay them to say that.
Look, at the end of the day, folks can say what they want to say about you.
Yeah.
You are an awesome dad.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Awesome father.
And I appreciate that.
Outside of that, I don't really have a circle of people that I be around consistent enough to say like, man, these are perfect examples. Nah. I mean, now again, you, my pastor, and that's it for me. If I'm missing somebody, I apologize. But as far as people that I look up to for their father roles, not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Man, that's deep. I'm gonna throw a curveball because similarities growing up, and this just maybe too new to you, but like I said the same thing. Like, I don't want to be like my dad. Yeah. But it was a negative thing for me because the way him and I, how we came up, our relationship.
Right.
And it was like, okay, I don't want to be like him. And it seemed like the more I said that, in the beginning stages of being a dad, I was just like him. And I couldn't run away with it. And what I realized, you can't help the fact that you're going to be your dad's child. But if you don't, I had like a hatred or just a dislike for him. And so because of that poison set inside me, I had no choice but to give out poison because I had poison inside. And so, it's I don't know how it worked for you, but for me, it was like the beginning stages of that, just being a dad. It was like, I don't want to be him. I don't want to be him. I don't want to be him, but I'm not going to come home on time tonight. I don't want to be him. Like the more I said it, the more I was like, I don't want to be him. I'm going to watch my temper. She only made me mad this one time. and when I looked around, I was like, man, you just like your dad, dude.
Man.
And so I had to kind of release him for that stage of my life. Now our relationship, I mean, we have a great relationship, but I had to let go and just be like, you know what, you probably did the best you can, and I have to let that go. And then I have to do what I have to do. Now, I also didn't really have a blueprint, but I did have examples. My mom, just seeing her, what she did with us, and, you know, a few people. I know growing up in our area, in the little project area we grew up, it was one dad in the entire, I mean, you're talking, it was 5 high rises, and it was like one dad, and we all knew him. His name, I'm gonna throw him out there, his name was Rodney. He was a St. Louis firefighter. Like, he was the only dad.
That's crazy.
It was like, that's all you knew of. You know, I mean, you had guys down there, but they were gangsters and stuff like that.
Right.
They wasn't fathers. And so you had that, you know, just kind of build up. You just wing it. But with that being said, how important is it that you do what you do now for your daughter, to where this is not her testimony? Like, how important do you feel that is?
For me, it's very important because, like I said, me too, I grew up with a hatred for my dad.
Yeah.
And I don't want my kids, even my oldest especially, like she's one, and my mom was like, the reason this is happening because of what I did when I was growing up. So she's on that road where she's often to doing the wrong things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, it's you. That's you. It's coming back on you for what you did to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
because when I did stuff, I learned from it. But she's the type, she can hit her head on the wall and just keep hitting her head on the wall. And it's like, don't do it. And then she'll come with dad, and I'll fix the problem for her. But I'm like, you know, learn from your mistakes. So in that sense, I want her to be like, you know, well, my dad did at least try to teach me or show me a better way. I chose to do this. I chose to do that. And she's come to me and was like, Dad, I apologize. You know, I should have listened to you.
Yeah.
Because now I'm in this mess and I'm looking for you to get me out of it. And I'm like, you know, I'll get you out of it. However, you can't continuously do the same thing over and over again thinking my dad's going to rescue me. For example, last summer, she went down to Atlanta, got caught stealing, and got arrested. And I'm like, I'm not going to bind you out. I didn't even know you went to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So you get down there and you want me to come get you out. And she said, this is what I said when they arrested him. She was like, I'll be out of here in a few minutes. I'm going to call my dad.
Wow.
He's going to send somebody down here to get me, and I'll be out of here.
Yeah.
I let her sit there for a month. And I just had a dream one night that said, go get her.
Yeah.
So I went down there, got her. And as we coming back, I'm, you know, asking her about her experience and this and that or whatever. And she was like, they was doing this and they was doing that. So I started telling them. I was like, that's what my dream told me to come get you, because you're in there snitching on these people.
Wow.
So I'm like, that's what my dream told me to come get you. Now, my youngest, they're raised the same exact way, but they're totally opposites.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does this happen where you raise the same exact way,
upbringing,
but you go this way and she
Right.
goes that way? And I've told both of them many times, my oldest, I can leave her at home and I worry, is the house going to be there when I get back? But the youngest one, I can leave her at home and know I feel comfortable going out the country and coming back and knowing that she's going to take care of everything.
Yeah.
And me and her mom, we've talked, and she was like, you know, the oldest, 19, and acts like she's 14, but the 14-year-old acts like she's 19.
Jeez, yeah.
So I don't know. It's just the things that they see me doing, things like that, I want them to reflect and say, okay, well, my dad taught me this.
Yeah.
You know, I know how to do this. My youngest one always says, I got my hustle from you. I watch you, and I know, well, if I fail at this, I can find something else to do.
That's big.
And I always tell her, don't put all your eggs in the basket. Do multiple things, because if you need money somewhere, you're going to find some way to make the money. Don't look at it to come to you. Get you some hustles all lined up of things that you can do to bring in money. So that's, with her, that's what she does. Even now she's trying to find ways of what can I do in the future to make money.
That's big. And I before you go on, Zane, I will get something he said. So I know when we found out we was having a girl, I mean, I went ballistic, I know. But everyone kept saying, like, because I didn't have any girl, like, man, she gonna have you wrapped around your finger. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna discipline her like I discipline all my other boys. You know, I ain't gonna play that. No, it didn't happen. I mean,
not at all.
That girl, no matter what, she has me wrapped. It doesn't matter. Mom don't like it because she can be like, your daughter getting on my nerves. I'm like, no, she didn't. Come here, girl. Like, I'm completely wrapped. So I appreciate you and just being transparent to say, like, hey, my daughter was where she was and you left her. And I'm in my mind when you said it, I'm like, man, when I look at her now, it's like, man, I don't know if I could do that.
Right.
But understand it, if it was my son, I would have done it, you know? Right. So to hear you say, like, hey, she has to learn. I'm like, man, that's
it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. Because I worried every day.
Yeah.
Because I knew I didn't want to be something happened to her.
Yeah.
And then it's like, man, I should have went and got her.
Yeah.
Right.
But then it's like, you know, when are you going to learn? Because that wasn't the only thing that you've done. But you constantly do things and I bail you out. And like she said, I'm gonna make a phone call. My daddy gonna be down here, and I'll be gone.
Yeah.
And she told me, she was like, the next morning I woke up, I was still there. Went to sleep. The next morning I woke up, I was still there, and so on and so on. And when I came and got her, she didn't even know I was coming. She just woke up. They woke her up one Monday and told her to get her stuff, and she was like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And when she came out, she looked and I was like, you finally came.
Oh man, God, yeah. So I want you to kind of answer that, but just to piggyback off that, looking at your baby girl now, you think if it came a time where you had to give her that discipline in such a manner, do you think you could do it?
Man, I'll probably be crying the whole time.
Yeah.
If I was in that situation, just based on the circumstances of her getting here and all of that, I know it's necessary. Discipline is necessary, but man, I'll be crying. Yeah. That'd be rough for me.
It was hard. It was really hard because, I mean, I know you shouldn't be there. And I mean, like, I've been arrested before.
Yeah.
I can do it. But any female, even when I was in there, it's like, you don't have nobody to come get you.
Yeah, right.
Know? And it was just like, you know, she's not going to learn if she's constantly getting bailed out the situation.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and everybody was like, go get her. It's like, no, I'm not going to get her. Go get her. I'm not going to get her. It's like, you can go get her. No.
Yeah.
And like she expected me, he's going to come. So,
that is.
And then you go out of town 8 hours away.
Yeah, right. Good grief.
So,
that's what to go back to what we were saying. How important is it for you to be in your daughter's life?
It's super important. Again, just coming from the broken home, coming from my dad not being there. Now that I think about it, I think it went from me not wanting to be the type of dad that he was, to not wanting to be the type of man that he was. Just because I know, you a man first.
Yeah.
So my dad is a broken man. Came from a broken home, dealt with alcohol, dealt with addictions. I believe he's still dealing with it. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
I've pursued it, but I can never really catch up to him, or there wasn't really a response from him. But he was a broken man. So for me, it's like I need to figure out how to not be a broken man first.
Yeah.
How to be a complete man first.
Yeah.
Understand who I am, understand my role as a man, understand what goes into being not just a man, and I don't want to turn into this, kind of podcast, but being a man of God, right? From there, once I'm equipped to be a man of God, man of integrity, then I would start to be equipped enough to be a dad.
Yeah.
So for that, it went from it being super important to be a great father first to being a great man first. And then that puts me into learning how to be a great dad.
Yeah.
Not perfect at all, but just with me being rooted and having a foundation of being a good man first. From there, I'm able to learn how to be a better father. And then for me, it's like quickly realizing, actually, before she got here, I was like, when I have moments by myself, I'm like, man, I have to understand, I'm the first example of what a good man is supposed to be. So I'm her first example of what a good man should be. I'm her example of what a man should not be.
Yeah.
So thinking about that again goes back to being focused on being a good man first.
Right.
And from there, everything just kind of started to fall into place. Because, again, just realizing, doing my own reflections, like, not only did I not want to be the same dad he was, I just didn't want to be like him, period.
Yeah.
And dealing with that. And like you said, just to go back to what you said, just, when you first started having kids, like, man, you more like your dad than you thought you were. For me, my dad dealt with communication skills, really bad communication skills, obviously, because we don't talk.
Yeah.
But I realized later on down the line, my anger issues and different things like that, I had horrible communication skills.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, just focusing on becoming a better man first, getting over the things that were keeping me from fulfilling that role first. I had to get over before I could even think about being a father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when she got here, it's kind of like, okay, now I have to focus on, being a good dad as well. So it's super important for me not just to be a great dad, but to be a great example of a man for her. Because she get it at home first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and that's you said something. You said quite a bit, and it was something I was thinking, and you said, I was like, oh man, that's good. That's good. But you talked about a broken man, right?
Yeah.
And you all listening, it's not that we're discounting our sons. It's just I wanted to kind of talk about this, and when I think about the daughter and women, things like that, they're the ones that birth babies,
right.
And not to go into the medical part, but what that woman takes in is what she feeds the baby.
Yeah.
And so you talked about being the first example of a man.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm thinking about this and just hearing some of you guys' background and knowing my background, as messed up as I was, or the broken family that I came from, it's almost like God chose us to have girls and to be an example for that girl. And because we are the first male example, we want to make sure we're giving her good education, good love, all these things, because the women are the ones who birth babies. And so if we poison them, then what happens is they poison what they're giving birth to. If we don't, like, look at us. First thing we're saying is, I don't want to, duplicate what I learned. And so if we don't change that, and that's why it's important we talk about this, because if we don't change it, then we have these women or these young ladies who are growing up without that example, and they're trying to find themselves or find what that good example of a man is.
Right.
And so when you said that, you said broken. So push it on you guys, and I'll answer as well. Like, I guess, like, why do you think you were chosen for the task of raising a queen or raising queens? Considering what you've been through, what do you feel like you bring, or what do you think it is about you that you were chosen to do that? Because when you think of it like that, the way in my mind, how it was coming out, that, man, these women are birthing, different children, and we want to make sure, just, my wife was recently pregnant, so we had to watch what she ate, had to watch what she's drinking, watching the people around her. Even when they told me, the baby can hear now, it's like, all right, we got to watch what we say around her. Mozart, put that Mozart on her on her tummy.
Right.
So that's a big task, with the brokenness that we came from, yet we were still chosen to raise daughters. Why do you think, or is it something, do you think, hey, I can do this and help?
Well, so from my mom, my grandmother on my mom's side, she had 7 girls, 1 boy. So I was around women most of my life.
Okay.
So when I was born, I was the the second boy in our family, which I was the grandson.
Okay.
My uncle, which was, my grandmother's son. And like I said, I was always around females or anything like that. So they taught me a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So once I had my daughter, I knew how to cook. I knew how to do their hair.
Yeah.
Everything that I needed to do, change diapers, I already knew that because from my aunts. And then after me, it was girls, girls, girls. Then another cousin who was a boy, then girls, then another cousin, a boy.
Okay.
So we had to babysit, change their diapers and stuff like that. So I knew how to do that from being a kid or whatever.
Okay.
So when I had my daughter, I knew exactly what to do. I knew how to rock them into sleep and all that stuff. So I think it was just because on my mom's side of the family, it's just predominantly girls. The boys who were born, we all have girls, no sons,
Wow.
just girls.
What did y'all do? What did y'all family do?
So, I mean, it's so bad that when one of our cousins had passed away and we took a picture, I think at the time my grandmother, she had like 32 grandkids and 32 grandkids and great-grandkids, should I say. So the boys went to go take a picture. It's probably like 10 of us. Snap.
Yeah.
So the girls, they just spread all out.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're going to have to take 2 pictures of them because it's so many. And the way our grandmother taught the boys is, although they may be older than you, you look after those girls.
Yeah.
So that's how we were raised. Don't touch my cousins.
Yeah.
And we were also taught if one fights, you all better fight.
That's it. That's right.
So we just knew, hey, don't touch them girls or we gonna get in trouble if we don't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset, just being a protector. Even if I'm dealing with a girl or my sisters, my mama, it just instills in me to protect them.
Yeah.
So that's what I've always, known and I've always done. So I just look at it as I was chosen to protect and provide for them.
Yeah.
So,
You got any take on that, Zane?
Honestly, I really don't know why I was picked. I really don't. I'm tough. I'm a man's man. I'm all of that.
All cap.
For real. But I really don't know because children are a gift from God, man. Yeah. And I know I don't deserve anything that I have, but for some reason, God saw fit to give it to me.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, we prayed about it, prayed about having a child, all of that, and we finally got one. And to this day, I still don't understand what I did to deserve a precious gift like that. Yeah. Outside of, kids will be bad, whatever.
Yeah.
But I really don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm striving to be the protector, striving to, be all of these things for her. But at the end of the day, just me having her is like, that just shows, how merciful God is to me.
Yeah.
How gracious God has been to me.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at it like that, so the fact that I had a girl, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't no I wasn't no saint when I was young.
Yeah.
I was out here too. But yeah, I really don't know. Yeah. I really don't know. And honestly, I don't put much thought into it because I could try to come up with reasons and stuff all day. It don't add up.
Yeah.
I don't deserve it. Yeah. And I say the same thing if I had a son. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Because, kids deserve you want to think kids deserve a perfect parent. They deserve a perfect mom, perfect dad. None of us are perfect.
Right.
So I can't give a good enough reason that trumps God just being good to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
like
And
it.
decided to give me a child, you know?
I like it.
So that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I as you were talking, Rube, I'm just taking it in because you're at a stage that I want to make sure I'm there. And I mean, you
Right.
look good, man. You look good. If you all don't know, Rube and I, we work out on Saturdays, man, and I'm always impressed by him. It's 8:30 in the morning, and I'm like, Rube, you want some water? And he done already smashed a gallon of water, man. I'm impressed. So I long to be that at that stage.
Yeah.
But similar to Zane, I have all boys, you know, and for years I was like, man, I'm a boy's dad. You know, that's what I am. I'm aggressive. You know, we can play and do things like that. We did have a situation, I remember, it broke me down. My son, just to give a little history and want to be brief, but my son, he had a situation that happened in school. It was a serious situation, really serious. And he'll get a chance to tell that story, but it happened. And when I found out, you know, I was like, man, like my son and I would talk about anything. Like, why didn't he bring it to me?
Yeah.
And he said, Dad, he said, I didn't want to tell you. Because I cried a little bit, and I just didn't want you to think I was soft.
Yeah.
God, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wow, son, like, no, like, Dad's not all tough, you know. But he never saw that, you know. And so you take this man who the kiddos who's the closest thing to him don't see a weak side, and then God give me a girl, and it's like. Psst, what I'm gonna do with her? You know, I would say this, like, one thing I always joke with my wife, I want the kids to grow up because I'm so tired of the baby voice.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, man.
I can't even do the baby voice. So it's like, God, you give me a daughter, I don't even know the baby voice, man. When I was when I was in the hospital, I got so tired of the baby voice. It's like people come in, I'm like, please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop. Just talk. It's a human. You know. So it's like that's the type of guy that I am.
Yeah.
And it's like he gives me a girl, you know. But since then, I feel my heart softening.
Yeah.
You know, I feel there's a different way. But even what happened with my son, it was like you have to kind of correct who you are because just because they're boys, they still need that, you know. But that girl, she definitely needs that. She needs that. And you had mentioned a perfect parent. And although we're not perfect, I think letting them see our shortcomings as well as what we overcome makes us, it's hard to say perfect, but I think it allows us to be the best we can be for them because they see all that. And I've always tried to shelter that from my sons. And so now having this daughter, it's just like, you know, I can't do this by myself. I have to pray often because I want to be different and be a good example to her. And I wanted to ask you this, Rube, kind of jumping a little bit. When you do have to discipline your daughter or issues with her, do you ever look at her and see her when she was at stage 1 or when she used to reach up for the bottle? Or is there ever a time where it's like, no, she's who she is, she gonna get this discipline? Or is it like, man, that's my little girl?
Well, not as far as discipline them. The oldest one, she just, I don't know, just did stuff all the time. No matter what you did, you can smack her hand, smack her butt.
Yeah.
No tears. She just look at you.
Man, she is like, thug.
She just look at you. Take stuff away from her, make her go to her room. She's fine, content.
Yeah.
And I'm like, none of that phases you.
Yeah.
It'll be over soon.
Wow.
So before I started popping her, things like that.
Which is legal, by the way.
Yeah.
Just don't leave no marks. I gotta get that out there.
So-
Discipline is legal.
Right.
I used to always threaten her. I'm gonna whoop your butt. I'm gonna whoop your butt. And she told me one day, she was like 3, she was like, you always say that. You're not gonna do nothing.
man.
I said, oh, well, come here. I'm gonna do it today.
Yeah.
So whooped her or whatever. Now the youngest one, I can count the times that I've had to discipline her because she doesn't want to disappoint you. So all you gotta do is raise your voice and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So she's on this thing. You abused me, Dad. When did I abuse you? All the time. I said, tell me all the time. About 5 times I got a whooping And I was like, and that's abuse?
Oh, man.
So she goes on with that, but it's just all fun and games because she believes, and I told her, I was like, you have a point, because she came to me one day and was like, you want me to be with somebody who doesn't put his hands on me, but you.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh.
I'm glad I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
You got me.
That's deep.
So she was like, so what am I to do? So I guess I just find me a man who'll put his hands on me.
Wow.
Oh man, that's deep.
Yeah, that's deep.
I don't know how to respond to that. Man, I still don't. I'm gonna think
Right,
about
that's
that.
what I'm saying.
So I'm like, you got a point. Okay.
So there's something else though we can talk about, because just knowing you gentlemen, you know, and knowing you guys are doing a great job now. When they told me it was a girl, a lot of things went through my mind, but I also started thinking of every relationship where I was not the best, you know, or things that happened that it was like, yeah, do I want someone to be like that with my daughter? Has that crossed your mind, and do you even think or like think about that time when maybe, and I don't like, maybe you guys had perfect relationships. I know, I know there were some times it's like, I can't say I was the innocent one. Do you ever think about, I hope my daughter doesn't run into maybe a guy like how I was, or situations that maybe happen?
Well, my thing, in my mind, there's no guy good enough for my daughter.
I like that.
I find something wrong with every last one that I come across. My oldest one, is every person that she's brought across to me, I find some kind of way to pick every little thing out about him. This one guy, he was okay, only because he played football, so we could talk about that. Okay. He played football. Yeah. And he had a decent head on his shoulder. He would always try to, when bad decisions she would make, he would, no, don't do that, you know. And I was like, okay, I kind of like him, but the other ones, no.
Yeah.
The youngest one, she's 14 now, so she keeps asking.
So she shouldn't be dating anyway.
Can my friend come over? Sure. It's a boy. No. So she was like, we can't even sit on the porch. So I'm like, yeah, you can sit on the porch. Take the dog out there with you. So this past winter, during quarantine, she was like, well, can he come over and sit on the couch because it's cold outside? I said, yeah, he can sit on the couch, keep the lights on, and my door be open. Man. So he came over, but he didn't ring the doorbell. He called her and said, I'm outside. And she went to the door. I said, don't open that door.
Yeah.
So I said, he'll stand out there until he either get cold enough to go home or cold enough to come ring this doorbell and introduce himself.
Right.
So she was like, you just gonna make him sit out there? Of course.
That's...
So he's standing out there, and I think she must have texted him and said, ring the doorbell.
Yeah.
So he rang the doorbell, and I talked to him. I was like, so if you're coming to see her, you just like if you were in a car, you don't blow for her. You come to the door and escort her out there, or introduce yourself, and so forth and so on. So I said, now if I came to your house to meet your mother or pick your mom up, once you want to see who your mom is talking to and things like that, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
So he did it one time, but now when he sees me, it's, hey, Mr. So, but it was, his dad's not there, so there was nobody there to teach him. Yeah. So it was just teaching the kids, really.
Man, that's Zane, I'll let you get to it, but it's small stuff like that I noticed that there is a lack of, because unfortunately there is a lack of leadership. Yeah. Starting with men and fathers. But just small stuff like that, and I'm like that when, no matter what, this woman, she's my wife, you know, but, and just saying it to say, like, I have her already, but I'm not honking my horn for her. I'm not like, hey, I'm outside. Yeah. I come in, and even when I come in, she's like, oh, baby, you should have just told me. I'm like, no, come in. Like, come on, let's go outside. Holding the door open, but it's small stuff like that. And it's so important that you're showing her, and he's learning at the same time. Like you say, you're more important than some dude just saying, hey, I'm here. Yeah, you know, like, no, let's do more. So I commend you on that. And I did want to say really quick, just because they don't know, like you raised these girls mostly by yourself, right?
Yeah. So, like I said, me and their mom, we weren't together originally when I had the oldest one. Way back then, I didn't talk. If you didn't have a husband or a boyfriend, I didn't want to deal with you because I didn't want to be number one. I didn't want those problems.
Right.
If you had an issue, you need to go talk to your boyfriend and talk to your husband. That's not my issue.
Right.
So she ended up pregnant with her or whatever. And like I said, for the first 6 months she had her, and she was living with the boyfriend. The boyfriend knew it wasn't his baby. So the way I ended up with her is I went to go pick her up one day for my visitation or whatever. And when I stood her up, she just started screaming. I'm like, what happened? What's going on?
Right.
So I had to go to work, so I took her to my mom. And I was like, she started screaming or something, so I don't know what's wrong with her. So my mom said she did the same thing. She started screaming. So my mom called me back. I took her to the hospital because I didn't know what was wrong with her. And it was probably like 11 o'clock. And that 11 o'clock in the morning, took her to Children's. They had her for about 2 hours and came out. And it was like her foot's broke. And I was like, her foot's broke.
Oh, 6 months.
And, and it was like, and the way that is for a baby at that age, it just doesn't break. Somebody has to twist it and break it. So they were like, what did you do? I just picked her up.
Yeah.
And she was at the house. I brought her to her here because she started screaming. So I'm at the hospital from 11 o'clock that morning to like 1 o'clock the next day because their Child Protective Service, all these people started coming or whatever. And they was like, you can go ahead and go because she's not going home with you. And I said, no, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I want to know where she's going. I want to see who she's going with so that I know who to look for.
Yeah.
So mom said she didn't know what happened. So when they took her, went home to my mom, and my mom was like, do not do nothing to him. And I was like, oh, I'm doing something.
Yeah,
It's just if you do it now, they're going to come. You're going to be the first person they look for.
Yeah.
So I chilled out or whatever. And she was in foster care for a few weeks or something.
Okay.
And after they did the investigation and was talking to us, there was like, I don't think it happened with Dad.
Yeah.
It had to happen with Mom. It's either the mother or the boyfriend.
Yeah.
So they gave her to me. Years after we went out to court and all that stuff and the child support stuff and all that, years afterwards, me and Mom got back together. Now, I was ready to kill this dude, her boyfriend, because of my kid or whatever. And then she tells me, I know what happened. And I was like, well, what happened? And she was like, well, she was crying and I picked her up and her foot got caught in a walker and the walker spent. And I was like, well, why didn't you just say that in the beginning?
Right.
You wait till she's 9 to tell me this. I was like, we could have saved all this time. And she was like, I was scared. Okay, accidents happen. You could explain that.
Right.
So
Rube got duct tape in his trunk. He got a shovel. He like
we ended up back together, and then we had my youngest one, and it didn't work out. So she, in the state of Missouri, if you're not married, neither parent has custody of them. The state actually has custody of them. So I was like, well, I already have the oldest one. Just let me take her. I don't need anything from you, anything like that. So she kidnapped her, the youngest one. She had her for like 2 months. And so I had to go file for custody from the state from her. Then we had to go through this whole court thing. And my oldest one used to be able to go for visitations or whatever.
Okay.
So on one of her visitations coming home, she asked her mom, she's like, hold on, let me go get something from upstairs. So she knocks on the door and was like, hold the door open. So she goes to the car and opens the door and tells the youngest one, run. So she comes running up to the house or whatever, and they both running to the house, and mom's just looking like, they got me.
Wow.
And I didn't even know what was going on, but the oldest one was like, I'm getting my sister back.
Wow.
So, and then after that, that's when the lawyer gave me the paperwork to take to the daycare.
Yeah.
Don't give her to him, this and that or whatever. And I've had him ever since.
That's an interesting story, man.
Yeah.
That's
So,
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
my biggest thing, and I tell females this all the time, I don't believe in, you leaving your kids by another man with your boyfriend to babysit and stuff like that, because they're going to come up dead. I firmly believe every time you look and see these babies being killed, they're killed by the girlfriend's the girl's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not going to happen to my kid.
Yeah.
So that's why I fought so hard for the oldest one to get with me, because after the leg was broken, I'm like, that's it.
Didn't want to take that chance. Yeah, I get it. Man, that's I know, that's deep, man. That's Zane, I'm gonna bring it to you, man. I've been knowing you for a while, but having a girl and just the young man that you were, do you ever think about maybe some of the mistakes you've made that you don't want your daughter to experience?
Man, absolutely. If my daughter met somebody like 16, 15-year-olds,
Yeah.
I'm beating them up on the spot, man. No.
Yeah.
Don't mess with him. But now it's like, I can do the best I can as far as showing her, what a man is supposed to be, how to be treated, how to carry yourself. At the end of the day, when she gets older, she's going to make her own decisions, and you can only hope and pray, that she doesn't, fall into any traps, different things like that, make any bad decisions when it comes to a guy, different stuff like that. I'm going to try not to lose sleep over it. Yeah. When she turned 14, 15, 16, I'm going to try not to lose sleep. I know how I was when I was younger. I know how the young guys were, you know. But at the end of the day, again, I can do everything I can, If she wants to, go out, do what she wants to, I can't. I can't keep her from doing that. As crazy as it sounds, as much as I want to be like, no, don't mess with him, don't mess with me, all I can do is just try to be an example. All I can do is try to teach her, show her, talk to her, and, just kind of warn her, but at the end of the day, she gonna do what she wants to do, so.
And I'm so with that, too. The more you try to keep them away from that, their curiosity is going to be like, why do you want me to stay away from that?
Exactly.
So you have to let them experience to get their heart broken, things like that, so that they like, oh, okay, I understand. Because, like I said, if I had a choice to pick for my oldest, it was the guy who played football.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like him.
Yeah.
She likes the ones that I'm telling her to stay away from.
And you know why? Because Daddy likes him.
Yeah.
Hey, you helping me, Rube, because I still got the duct tape in my trunk. You helping me, man.
No, that's real though, because I know young girls who in the same situation, parents wouldn't let her do anything.
Yeah.
And now, she's out there, all because you wouldn't let her experience anything. You won't let her go to parties. You won't even let her go to school dances.
Yeah.
And now when she gets older, because she didn't experience any of that stuff, now her main goal is to experience everything now that she didn't experience when she was younger. Difference is she has no clue, how to, look out for people slipping stuff in your drink. She has no idea about, what this guy's really after. Y'all didn't let her experience anything.
Yeah. Man, that's for y'all. Man, baby girl, she has 7 brothers.
Oh, yeah.
And a police dad.
Yeah,
We're not playing that, Rube.
My girl, when I showed her the kids, she was like, she gonna have it rough. They gotta go through 8 dudes.
Man, uncles too.
Yeah, we not playing, but it's just when you think about something like that, but you think you're supposed to be the protector. How do you allow that to happen, even though it's right? The only way we learn is from mistakes. I hear when I'm listening to just motivational speakers and things like that, they always say they look for the people that made mistakes because those are people that are learning. So we know we have to let them make their mistakes, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah. Look, baby girl, I know you 3, but I need you to know how to rack this back.
Right.
I need you to know, it's just, it's funny. So to hear some of the stuff you're saying, man, it's like, man, am I going to be ready for that?
Right.
And then even if I feel like I'm ready, she still got these brothers that may not be ready, and then she has a twin brother. Yeah. So it's like I don't know. She is gonna have a rough time, man. But I do. I want to jump to something we was talking about. What do you think is the most important lesson to teach our daughters? Your daughter, and it could be different. So I don't want to generalize and just say our daughters. But what did you feel was the most important? I'm gonna start with Zane on this. What's you feel is the most important lesson to teach her?
Man, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough because it's a lot of stuff. I want to teach. I mean, she's 1, but man, that's really hard. That's really hard. I don't know if I can pinpoint one right now. I really don't.
I'm gonna say one, and this is not. I don't want you to feel like I have an advantage. This just popped in my mind when we were talking. But for me, and then Rube, you're experiencing this, so let me know how you feel. But I think about maybe some of the women that and if my daughter's listening, it's only been just your mom. Don't. but when I think about some of the women, good or bad, I think the biggest thing that stood out was the worth. The worth of a woman. I think ones who didn't understand their worth, I was able to get away with almost anything.
Right.
The ones who understood their worth, it was almost like, you're too hard. I don't know if I even want to be here because you have a standard, Right. And that was just speaking on my character at the time.
Yeah.
But I think even now when I see, when you just see certain things on social media, and even as a man, you might be like, oh, that's nice. But then you start thinking like, man, that's someone's daughter. Or do she understand her worth? Because if you understand your worth, then there are certain things you just will not do. There are certain gifts you wouldn't give away just to anybody because you know who you are. So for me, it's I want to express her your worth. You're beautiful. Mm-hmm. You're blessed. You have this, like your daughter said, I want her to know you have a father who will be there. I'm going to let you fall, but best believe once you're trying to get back up, I'm going to help you as long as you're trying. So I want her to know who she is. So that was kind of mine. I don't know your...
Oh, that's good.
Mine is similar to yours. Mine is self-love.
Okay.
And having self-respect. Because within our community, the Black woman is always being torn down by our other Black females and stuff like that. Yeah. Or you're too dark, or you too light, or you think you this, you think you that. And like my oldest, I used to tell her all the time, God created you to be you. Not them, not her, not her. Yeah. She had an issue where she thought, because she's hippie.
Okay.
And she used to tell people she said people always made fun of her when she was younger. And I said, those very guys who are making fun of you now, they'll love you in 10 years. So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You go to school to get your education, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And 10 years from now, you look back at those guys and see where they're at.
Yeah.
And she didn't get it. So as she got older, those guys who made fun of her, now they're all in her face. Yeah. Remember, they were making fun of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't want me. I was this, I was that.
Yeah.
Move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And what I always used to tell her is that popular thing, it's cool when you're in school. Yeah. But you have to look long term, because when you get out of school, being popular ain't gonna pay the bills, pay your house, your car, and stuff like that. So just be respectful of yourself and love yourself. So if you love yourself enough, there's nothing anybody can say or do that's gonna tear you down.
I like that.
So that's what I try to promote within them. Don't try to look like this person or that person. Look like you.
Yeah, I like that. Zane, if you don't, if you mind, can I skip to something else with you?
Yeah.
So if they don't know, but Zane's a minister. Zane, that's just what he does, and he is gifted. Man, he's a little younger than I am, but I enjoy hearing him speak. I heard one of your sermons, and you talked about. Now I don't want to misquote it, but I believe it's like kind of watching what you say.
Yeah.
And in that, you talked about the importance of speaking life into people.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little segment where you were talking about speaking into your daughter. Can you kind of explain, or if you remember the stuff you were saying, kind of tell us what that means to speak life into someone?
Well, it's a scripture. It's a scripture in Proverbs that says, "Death and life is in the power of the tongue." And I don't think people really understand the magnitude of that, right? To where it's literally saying God gave you the ability to speak life or to speak success, to speak victory over your life. With that, the other dynamic of it is God also gave you the ability to speak death over your life. So when people speak negatively, you know that person complains all the time, just negative about everything. If you look at their life reflects the things that they say, right? But if you, on the other end of that, if you look at somebody who is constantly optimistic, lifting people up, all about elevation, things like that. Most of the time, if not all the time, their life reflects what they speak. And so now that I hated this thing that parents did before I became a parent. So after I became a parent, I really hate it. When you hear the baby mothers, they say, you're gonna be just like your daddy, you all of that kind of stuff. And then you look up and wonder why your son or your daughter is sitting in your basement 35, 40 years old. And you look at her father's life, and her father was 35, 40 years old, sitting in his mom's basement. So that's important for me to speak life over my daughter, because I want her to be successful, right? And again, going back to that scripture, death and life is in the power of the tongue. It doesn't just apply to me, it applies to generations after me as well. So I try to every day speak success over my daughter's life. My daughter was born premature, 3 months premature, 26 weeks. And the type of things that I speak into her, it's like I want her to grow up to where nobody would even be able to know that she was born premature. She was born potentially, having half a mind, half a brain, not being able to be fully mobile, different things like that. But I speak over her in such a way to where, no, you're going to exceed where you started from. That won't be your story. That was just an experience when you were born, but you are going to far exceed people's expectations of you. If they know how you started, premature, typically premature babies have certain things about them. I speak the complete opposite over my daughter. She has a physical therapist, and I don't know why we still even employ them, because the stages, the prospective date that they thought that she would walk, she far exceeds that. Everything she did on her own, and I attribute that to me having a relationship with God and understanding that scripture. Going back to the scripture, no, my daughter won't be 2 years old, 3 years old, just now learning how to take 2-3 steps. That's not gonna be my daughter. My daughter being premature, she will, be a scholar. She will succeed in school. She will do all of these things that people may not think she would be able to do. And all of that comes from me understanding and knowing that the things I speak over my child will come to pass, because God gave me the ability to speak those things. So that's where I'm at with that. Period.
Ever since when I heard that, I was actually at work in my patrol car, and I was looking at him on Facebook, Facebook Live. And when it said it, that it really touched and it resonated with me. And now I do that, and it's called different things, if it's affirmations, even the popular book that came out, The Secret, it's based off that. It's just based off of speaking things and believing things. And it's what you said. So when I heard it, not that I spoke anything bad, but I intentional with everything. I'm intentional and on purpose. When she's there and I wake up in the morning, I'm like, hey, you're beautiful. You're going to be successful. I tell her and I tell the boys that, but it helped. And I think it's important that we do that with our daughters,
Absolutely.
because we want them to know our worth, self-love, just a positive image. And so I just want you to know, man, that stuck with me. And I try to do it every day, every time I see her, and I think one thing we say, man, you bad. Like we say that to kids all the time, like, man, this kid bad.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it. The more you say that, they're going to play that title that you've given them. And so, I try to just be like, hey, you're not going to have the struggles that daddy had. Like you're going to go through this. And so I try to mimic that. But as we come to a close, man, hearing everything you all said, it just affirms having a podcast like this.
Absolutely.
Because we see the importance of that. Now, and here you have three gentlemen who grew up broken in a sense because we didn't have the full foundation of a childhood, which consists of two parents.
Right.
You need both of them. They say it takes a village, and we had half of that, and in spite of it, you all are doing a great job with that, and so it's just like we're trying to shut off the curse, the generational curse and the cycle. And so I think it's important. And so I want to personally thank you all. And for you all, it was not to discount our sons, because we're going to address that at another date. Right. But I think just it was important to take a moment out and just know you have men out here that are trying to speak life, that are trying to educate self-love, that even given those hard disciplinary actions, because even what you did for her, it was tough, but it took a man of valor. It took a man of integrity and wanting the best for her to even say, I can't fold. I have to be stern, which is all a part of parenting. And so I feel confident that your daughter is going to make it, and your two daughters are going to be great because of the greatness that I see right here, and all the great men out there and women, who are speaking life and trying to raise young scholars and young doctors, and it just, you get that little bit of faith. If you didn't have it then, a little bit more, because sometimes you look at this generation coming, from up under us, and you're like, man, they need help. But what they need is they need more adults that's willing to step up to the plate and say, in spite of my background, in spite of how I grew up, in spite of the absentee of either parent, I'm going to, plant positive seeds. So thank you, gentlemen. Man, thank you for being here today, and I appreciate that. And I hope someone who is viewing this and listening to this, I hope that this helps. If you're one of those parents, I hope that it motivates you to keep going, to say, hey, I'm not in this by myself. If you're one of those parents that, you're dropping the ball a little bit, the fact that you're still alive lets me know that you have the chance to make that right, And if you're listening to it and you're like, man, I got kids out there I ain't seen in a while, just do whatever we got to do. I understand. Trust me, I understand. But let's do what we got to do to make that right, because this generation needs us. They need us, and not only this generation, but we need each other to know we're not in this alone. So thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you all on the next one. Peace. What's going on, everyone? I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Again, we're going to have a word, and I don't want to insult your intelligence, but these words are meaningful. So today's word is foundation, and it's just a basis or principle upon which something stands on. And today's podcast, we talked a lot about the importance of foundation, and we use it in the sense of how we are trying to uplift and raise our children. They need a strong, positive foundation so that they can be successful. Without a strong foundation, a house will surely fall. So today's word, foundation. Let's practice it. Let's work on it. Until next time, be blessed.